Welcome to The Broke Budget. My name is Brittany, and here I like to talk about how to stop living paycheck to paycheck. So if that interests you, be sure to hit subscribe. But today we're going to be talking about how to solve your budgeting problems. Having a budget is actually your key to having a better financial life. It will help you pay off debt, have a little bit more leeway in your paycheck so you can do some fun things, as well as save up an emergency fund or save up for things that you want to buy. Making a budget can actually be really intimidating if you've either never done it before or if you have done it before and feel like you failed at it. When making a budget, the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure that we're making it in the right order, because when you just start throwing things into your budget, it can get really complicated really fast, and then you get confused, and that can be a really big problem. So here's the order that I want you to follow. You start with your income. How much income do you get every week, every other week, or per month? Start figuring it out, and the best way to do this that I have found is actually to budget monthly and then to continue to look at your budget every single week. After you've figured out your income, then you're going to go into what do you spend on your essentials? Now, your essentials being your housing, so if you're renting or if you have a mortgage, you would do that first, and then you would get into utilities, and you would get into food, and you would get into transportation that you need to get to work. All the things that are essential for everyday life. And for me, this is one of the easier sections because most of those bills will be a set amount. The only thing that you might have a little bit of trouble with is your food budget, but we'll get to that in just a second, so stick around. The reason why that is the second thing that we want to do is because we want to make sure that all the numbers that we fit in after the income are adding up to exactly what the income is. That is called a zero-based budget. That means we're taking our paycheck and spending it all on paper, on an app, wherever you're writing this down. After you've budgeted your essentials, then you are going to go into whatever your financial goals are. Depending on where you are in life, whether that be paying down your debt or that's saving up money for an emergency fund or saving up for something very specific, wherever you are in your financial journey, this is where you want to start putting money towards those goals. If we don't plan out our long-term goals right now, then we'll never really achieve them. So that's why this is third in the list. We want to make sure that we're prioritizing our long-term goals because they can set us up for our future. And fourth, you would go through all of the things that you want immediately, not your future goals, but things that you just want, whether it's a spa day or if it's you want to buy some video game or anything else in between. But just remember, it is actually still more important to accomplish your future goals than it is to have a little bit of fun right now. So try and keep these numbers really small if you can in order to achieve your future goals. Just make sure that whatever you do, it does not go over what your paycheck brings in. So when it comes to not knowing your numbers for your budget, my best suggestion is just to get started, make a mock budget, see what happens, and track your spending throughout the month, and then you'll get a better idea of what your numbers actually are. It may take you 3 months or more to actually get down the numbers in each category, but it's the only way to really get started. You could also do this where you go through your bank account and see the numbers throughout the last couple months to kind of get an idea of how to write up a mock budget. If you're the kind of person that has trouble sticking to a budget, then you may need to have something that is easily accessible and easy to read. Because if it's not easy for you, you probably won't do it. You also can try to make it a habit. Make it a daily habit or a weekly habit to check your budget at the same time. And you can start this habit by setting reminders on your phone. You can also make it a habit to check before you even go to a store. Your food budget is one of the hardest categories to get right in your budgeting, and so for that reason, let's talk about that real quick. I actually split up my food budget into 2 categories. I have one for groceries and one for eating out. So when it comes to your budget, the best thing you can do for yourself is to limit down your eating out budget. But once you see how much you're spending, you probably will freak out a little bit and realize that buying groceries is a whole lot cheaper. The easiest way to transition from eating out more to eating at home is to make sure that you're meal prepping ahead of time. It makes cooking a lot easier because that's one of the reasons a lot of us like like to go out to eat is because it's fast, it's easy, and we don't have to worry about the cooking part. One of the other budgeting problems you may have is when you're not on the same page with your spouse. You need to be on the same page so that you are both following the same plan and that you work the plan out together. I have another video that you can view about money fights and how to solve those money fights and get on the same page. So if you're interested, go watch that video. If you think that budgeting is too hard and it's too hard to keep up with, it might be because you have too many auto expenses coming out of your budget and you might have too many bank accounts laying around. Shrink down everything that's going on and keep it simple. Have one bank account that all of the auto expenses come out of. It makes everything a whole lot easier. Even with your spouse, you want to combine incomes and combine it into one bank account. It makes everything so much easier when it comes to budgeting because you can see everything in one account. Now, it's okay to have other accounts that do specific things for you. So we do have a separate account at a completely different bank that has our emergency fund in it. But for everything else, you definitely want to narrow it down because it'll make budgeting for you a whole lot easier. Overall, if you're stressed out about budgeting, it's not as bad as you think it is. In fact, it can actually be fun. For me, I didn't like the word budget and I never attempted a budget. And finally, when I got serious about it, I actually enjoyed it. And budgeting also helps you figure out where your finances are going and if there's problems in your budget. So if you don't have enough income for the amount of expenses that you have, you will figure that out really quick with a budget. If you are spending too much in one area, you'll figure that out really quick with a budget. So it comes down to you need this budget in order to find out where your problems are with your money so that you can fix them, so that you can build a fun and great future for yourself. One last budgeting problem that you may have is if you're in the middle of the month and you accidentally overspent in one of the categories that you budgeted for. The best thing that you can do is actually to pull from a different expense category and knock the other expense category down. So I like to pull from fun categories first, and if there are no fun categories, then I pull from goal categories. So oftentimes, if I am paying down debt, I will then leave the debt payment, the extra debt payment anyways, to the end of the month so that if anything else ends up going over what I thought it was going to be, then I can pull from that. I also sometimes over budget for vehicle gas money, and so what I'll do is I can pull from that a little bit just to make sure that we make it through the month. Now, there are other ways to do this as well. If you don't feel like manipulating your entire budget, you can actually do this if you're able to make more money. So if you're able to easily ask your job for more hours, or if you can go do something like Uber or Lyft or something of that nature on the side, then you can make that money up for the overspending that accidentally happened. It's very, very important that you rework your budget. You don't want to just leave overspending alone and just keep going on with your budget as is, because that will ruin you in the end. So there you have it. Those are my different tips for budgeting problems or budgeting challenges that you may have. And so if you've enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more content. And I will see you in the next video.